Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director here at the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. You know what that means? Friends, it's time for us to talk about this week's cannabis policy and science news and for me to answer all of your burning questions live. So let's get down to it. Take a second. Hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. And drop a note in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions. Let's see who's here. Hey, ma'ams. I see your question about Virginia. It's at the top. We'll talk about that. Hey, Braddy. You coming in early with your questions, bud. Hi, Nick. Welcome back. Hey, Chris. Good to see you. Hey, everyone who just joined us on Instagram. I can read your comments, but it won't let me show them on the screen. But hey, ask them, and I'll answer. Hi, Jenny Morgan. I see you. I see you, friend. It's happy Friday to you also, Fred. And happy Friday to you, Lump Dog. Hey, Chris. Chris is in Hampton, Virginia. Jenny's in Alexandria. Who's here not from Virginia? While we're waiting for people not from Virginia to join us, I'll go ahead and answer Ma'am's question, which is about Virginia. Ma'am says, greetings, Virginia question. What's up with the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority and Jeremy Priest's departure? He seemed like he was a steady presence. He was. And then Ma'am goes on to ask if we are in good hands with the current Chief Acting Officer, Jamie Patton. And to that, I say yes, ma'ams. Yes, ma'ams. Or it's fine. She's fine. She's been the Chief Administrative Officer. And now she's, at least for the time being, assumed that role. I don't know if she will be staying in that role or if they intend to try to fill it otherwise. We'll see. My suspicion is that nothing happens under this administration because, they're on their way out. Hey, Aaron, thanks for being here, and you're welcome. Nick says it would be ironically funny if Pennsylvania's legalization dropped by next weekend, since Pennsylvania politicians are, quote, so close to agreeing on a bill. Are they? I know that, hey, JT, I'm glad you're awake. Nick, I know that you are aware that NORML has been very vocal in opposing this notion that that Pennsylvania ought to use a state store model, not state regulated, but a state run store model. And I'm living dangerously. I'll see if I can find it. I want to find the video version of this. I did it. Go me. So this is great. It's on YouTube as well, but here's the link directly to the video from Green Market Report, in which you can hear a lot of people talk about this, but in particular, you can hear Teresa Nightingale from Pittsburgh NORML talk about opposition to state-run stores in Pennsylvania, I think this is a well-produced video from Green Market Report that they shot at NECAN, and they do a deep dive. They've had a lot of coverage at Green Market Report about this proposed state-run model. So I concur, Nick. What made me think about this is that in one of these quotes, they talk about using 420 as the bill number and how that's, sort of almost like a cultural appropriation. These aren't my words. These are words that somebody commented about the legislation. But I did appreciate, for whatever it's worth, I appreciated the clapback at not only we don't support the idea of a state-run model, but also it feels very much like, hey, don't pretend like you care about this issue or you understand it and then try to just run up in here with all these weed puns. That's not serious. So good looking out, folks. Hey, Adam, in Colorado, but in Virginia, but in Colorado. Yes, Adam. Adam's watching on Instagram and says, ABC in Virginia thought about it years ago and decided not to pursue. Adam, so here's a little bit of a deep dive on that. So I and Travis Hill was the head of ABC at that time, and he and I co-chaired the Legal and Regulatory Subcommittee of the Virginia Legalization Work Group under Governor Northam. And neither of us proposed ABC. He was the head of ABC and was like, absolutely not. I also was like, no, that's dumb. So we proposed, like most states do, a standalone entity. And that we sent this proposal over to the administration, and then the person in the administration who wrote the bill wrote it with ABC as the regulator. And Travis and I went right back and we're like, no, absolutely not. And that's one of the first things that got changed in that bill was to a standalone agency, because no thanks. Yeah, no, that wasn't going to work out for us. Hey, Planta Grata in Florida, how is it down there? I'm from there, weirdly. Hey, yes, it's Princess in Jersey, another place I lived. Hey, Blonde Fit Bomb in Detroit. And it's so hard to decide what people's names are. Amaya Singh in Georgia, thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're all here. Oh, Blue Ox. You know what? There's a new feature in StreamYard that I want to use, and let's see if I break things doing this. Because let's see what happens. You asked a question about Spanburger. Look at that, friends. There's a thing. It's over there. Not really. Okay, so I'm so glad you asked. There was a Virginia Opinion Survey is the name of this. That's the name of the survey, but it's done by some polling agency. And I actually got not this poll, not this survey, but a different survey. This was this week. I got a survey that was clearly related to messaging for Lieutenant Governor candidate Aaron Rouse. And I took that survey. There was another version of this survey, apparently, that instead of asking about Aaron Rouse for lieutenant governor, asked about Abigail Spanberger for governor. And Brandon Jarvis had a complete breakdown of this poll or survey in his newsletter today, Virginia Scope. And that's where I got this was the last image in the screen grabs that Brandon shared of this survey. And you'll see, so the question here, the context for this question is how important is this statement to you as a voter? And the statement here is Spanberger will create a safe, transparent cannabis market in Virginia by legalizing retail marijuana sales while cracking down on illegal vape shops. Then she'll reinvest the tax revenue from the industry into strengthening Virginia's public schools. And then it's asking survey respondents to rank this from 5 being extremely important to 1 not at all important. So Blue Ox. Blue Ox would like to vote 5. So yeah, okay, thanks for asking that question so I could bring this up and try this feature that I haven't used yet. Anyhow, I wonder if anyone out there got this poll and took it and got the Spanberger version versus the Rouse version. So that tells you that's you can expect to see more of that messaging from her when she is asked about this issue on the campaign trail, which is exactly what we would expect because she has voted exactly the way we would want an elected official to vote in Congress. Abigail Spanberger was in Congress, and she voted the way we wanted her to vote on everything when she was in Congress. Receives an A grade from NORML. The other candidate does not. Thanks for asking. Nick's in Pennsylvania suggests the Department of Ag run their cannabis program, not Liquor Control Board. Hey, Nick, who runs your medical cannabis program right now? Who's that regulator? Because I would suggest that one. Because what Pennsylvania ought to realize is that Pennsylvania is already regulating cannabis. Pennsylvania does not need to reinvent the wheel, nor does Pennsylvania need to disassemble its entire regulatory structure that's already functioning for cannabis. Hey, John, good to see you. Hey, Mike in Anaheim. I'm going to remember that that's your new user ID. Hey, Purple Hairs in Ohio. Blue Ox, let me see. It's not a link to the survey. I don't know if I kept the newsletter, and I don't know if my mail is going to want to look it up for me while I'm doing this, but Virginia Scope is the newsletter, name of the newsletter. But you're gonna see, it's just screenshots is what it is. Hey James, what's up? Okay, I want to talk about things other than Virginia, but here we are. James says, okay, let's get into it. Governor Youngkin is governor of Virginia, is wanting to stop delivery. I don't think he really is. But we can talk about that in a second. James goes on to say, I live in Harrisonburg. The closest dispensary is Rise in Lynchburg. It's a 2-hour ride each way. With that being said, when it's Harrisonburg getting a dispensary, it would be a great location anyway. Yes, of course, it would be a great dispensary. So James, first and foremost, I want to let you know that you can get delivery. You do not have to drive 2 hours to Rise and Lynchburg, but you can absolutely get delivery from Rise. I forget which menu you're supposed to look at, but I can tell you. I think it's Abingdon. Anyhow, second, I don't think that when that amendment was sent down, that they really, first, I think that amendment, the request to gut delivery, I don't think that was just something the administration thought up. I think that was a direct request from somebody. I have a very solid idea as to who, but that's, I don't think, for public consumption. Next, I think that the administration heard this request and was like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever, and believed that the person that was asking for it, was legit. Was asking for this in good faith. It was not a good faith request, is my opinion. The other thought is that perhaps they misread it and thought that this was allowing deliveries at those locations. Regardless, the plan is to meet with the administration and make sure that they are still as okay with the bill as they were prior to it being passed overwhelmingly by the legislature. We did meet with them in advance and say, hey, are you cool with this? And they said, yeah, we're fine with this. So I don't think it's intentional. I think it's believing someone that they shouldn't have believed, honestly. Hey, Queen Jane, sup? Hey, JC in Virginia Beach. Hey, Sean. Bratty, telling you something good about Georgia? My dude, it's Georgia. You got 3 bills still in Georgia. Still 3 bills, the same ones we talked about last week. You got HB 41, which is a penalty reduction bill. You got HB 22.7, which is putting Georgia's Patients First Act. And then you have SB 220, which is the Senate cognate of putting Georgia's Patients First Act. All 3 of those action alerts at normal.org/act. We are tracking 122 bills right now in NORML's Take Action Center. And that's good regardless of what state you're in. I'll drop a quick link to that in the chat. Sorry, everyone on Instagram. You don't get links, but you can visit NORML's Take Action Center at normal.org/act, and then click on your state and see all of the action alerts that we have for cannabis-related legislation in your state, what the position is, and most importantly, you can just click on the link that says email your legislator, and all you have to do is put in your name and your address, and it will send a pre-written letter to your lawmakers in that state for that particular piece of legislation. You're going to want to do this for every bill that you see for your state. And then you're going to want to share it with your network. And so make sure that your friends and family who live in your state know that they can take action on these bills literally with just just a few clicks. It's going to take like 30 seconds for each one. You can customize the language that will populate for you and share it. Make sure everyone you know is taking action on pending legislation. You can also see on any one of these action alerts, you can see how many people have already sent emails. So, you can see what issues people were really responding to and paying attention to. And that'll help you determine like, oh, this is something that we really could get traction on, or maybe it's not getting a lot of attention. And then that's something you really want to focus your energy on so that lawmakers aren't thinking people don't care about that particular legislation. I'm going to look at this one right here real quick. I just picked one that was right in front of me. It's for Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, expand medical cannabis access. Legislation is pending in Pennsylvania, which is House Bill 533, that would really allow healthcare providers greater discretion when making the decision about a patient and if they have a serious medical condition that would make the patient eligible for medical cannabis. Right now, they have a made-up list of conditions in Pennsylvania, which is a really weird way to dictate healthcare policy, right? Having people who are lawmakers, not your healthcare provider, decide what your doctor can say is good or not good for you is weird. Like if I were getting antibiotics, my healthcare provider is going to decide that, not my state senator. My state senator doesn't decide if my virus qualifies for that antibiotic. Yet here we are with cannabis in 2025 still doing that. And Pennsylvania has a bill to say, let's not do that anymore. Let's, let healthcare providers who are qualified to practice medicine, let's let them make those decisions with their patients. Only 33 constituent emails have been sent for this. That's wild. That's super wild. I picked this arbitrarily. I had no idea how it was going to go, but you know what? Now that I've said that, I'm going to put the link in the chat because, Nick, I want you to see that and make sure everyone in Pennsylvania is sending that action alert in support of House Bill 533. James, thank you for letting me know you've got delivery under control. Good to see that. Hey, hi, other John. Good to see you. Woodyard everywhere in Virginia is very expensive because there are only 4 medical cannabis operators at this point in time that are functioning, and they're only allowed to have a total of 6 dispensaries each. So that's not enough dispensaries for 8.5 million people. It's really difficult to bring the price of products down when your patient population is really small. Anyhow, Queen Jane, no, this is about delivery in Virginia, is about medical, and yeah, it's something. New Jersey's still, okay. Here we go. Sean, which state are you talking about? I want to pretend like I can keep up with this, but I can't. Sean, I see your question. We want applications for growers and retailers already. Which state? Hey, doctor, sup? James, let me see your question. James asks, why are you saying more THCA in products from the dispensary? Are you asking someone else that? Because I wasn't talking about THCA, but I will now. Okay, so it depends on what the product is. If you're buying flour, it'll tell you, often you're going to see total THC for flour. That doesn't mean that's how as I'm sure you know, that's not how it's actually present at that point in time. That's taking the measurement of the THCA that's in the flour because it has not been yet decarboxylated. There's a little bit of THC in there that happens during the drying and curing process, but they're going to use the multiplier to get the amount of what would be delta 9 THC. And that's how the flour is going to be labeled. So that flour is chock full of THCA. It's just going to be labeled with what the conversion number is. And then when you're looking at other extraction-based products, that is largely going to be delta 9 because it's already been decarboxylated prior to being put into that product. Generally, it's not a universal rule. There are definitely THCA products from regulated dispensaries out there, but largely in flour it is THCA, and then in extraction-based products it is THC. Oh, Charlie, I see your comment, and I'm laughing very hard on the inside. Sean, I love that you said this. Sean says, it's wild they want us to go legal, yet won't let us without hitting our pockets hard. I'm glad you asked that because it helps me segue into the other news that I want to talk about and I'm doing a bad job at getting to. And that's a really important issue this legislative session. In fact, Maryland is not the only state, but it is a state that has, in fact, raised taxes. They just approved provisions in the budget bill that will increase cannabis, like a special sales tax on cannabis, will increase it by 25%. Like, taxes get raised all the time, but that's a really large amount to raise taxes by. Currently, adult use retail sales tax in Maryland is 9%, and this will increase it to 12% in the new budget. So yeah. But to your point, it's something that's super important to consider. Literally any lawmaker out there. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Wes. What are you doing, my dude? Like, you don't want to price consumers out of the market. Consumers are not ATMs. They are not cannabis consumers, are not ATMs. They are not blank checks. Their pockets are not open for you. Get your hands out of their wallets. The whole point of legalization is to better provide for public and consumer safety. That is not a policy that can be achieved under prohibition, which is why states abandon prohibition in favor of a policy from which they can get a better return on investment, like legalization. And pricing consumers out of the legal market simply incentivizes them to return to the illicit market. So don't. Fortunately, this is something that Virginia lawmakers are uniquely aware of. And I do say unique because look at what's happening around the country with these weird proposed tax hikes. Yeah, so just don't do that. Don't. Hey, Insulin. I see your comment. Again, I'm cackling on the inside. Very funny. Thank you, Sean, for saying Virginia. Got it. Yeah, there have been no meaningful proposed fees. The fees for adult use licensing will not be the same as the fees from the medical cannabis licensing that was enacted under Republicans in 2016. So no one needs to worry about. Those numbers don't translate. They're not the same. They're not even relevant. They're going to be reasonable when the 2026 bill is drafted. Ew. Hi, Queen Jane. Thank you for asking. Queen Jane says, so THCA is Delta 9. It's not. It's tetrahydrocannabinolic acid that when cannabinoids are present in the plant in acid form, THCA is how it's present in the plant. Then people heat it up. Why is that covering up all of my stuff? Then you heat it up to consume it, right? That's called decarboxylation, and it heats it up and the A falls off, and then it becomes Delta 9 THC. It's like, I guess, the best visual representation. I can talk at you, I guess. So it is not, but it will be. It converts to that. So if you're somewhere and you're like, oh, THCA flower, that's weed. That is not a thing. THCA flower, that's not a thing. That's weed. People call it that because they think it's some special loophole. You put marijuana in a bag, it's THCA flower, unless you have sprayed it with Delta 9, unless you've sprayed it with something that's been decarboxylated. John, I'm glad Ohio didn't raise taxes yet either. Ohio is planning to gut your voter-approved legalization law, so definitely give a hard no to SB 56. There's actually two bills for this. I'm going to drop it in the comment right now. So SB 56 is the first bill, that was passed. And at the end of February, the Senate approved SB 56 by a heavy margin. And it guts the voter-approved legalization law. So please be sure you are taking action on that. And I just closed it. I shouldn't have. But listen, a lot of people have taken action on this. 17,249 constituent emails have been sent to lawmakers opposing SB 56, but the Senate went ahead and passed it anyway. Now it's over the House. The House has its own version as well, HB 160. and gonna drop a link to that in the chat for you. Only 866 letters have been sent opposing HB 160. This was introduced much later than SB 56, but it is still important to take action on both. 17,000 constituent emails were sent opposing SB 56, and the Senate still passed it. Look out, Ohio. Look out. John Samuel Patrick is asking a question: why doesn't NORML push for recalling elected officials? That's not the focus of our work. Our focus is on, I understand what you're saying, but we don't have the bandwidth for that, and it's not something we do. We're busy tracking 122 marijuana bills and engaging people across the country, as well as talking to the media and explaining to lawmakers how to change laws. But that doesn't mean that locally people will not organize and do that, and they should. Center Mass Content has a comment on Instagram, a question on Instagram. The question reads this: weed in a bag labeled THC is just regular weed? Maybe. What I'm saying is it's not something special. Like, it's not, if you, let's say that you go to that store, that gas station that's selling THCA flower, and let's assume that it's not contaminated or sprayed with anything else, and you'll have no idea because you're buying it at a gas station, not at a regulated dispensary. But let's just assume that this bag of weed, that bag of THCA flower, is clean and it just says THCA flower. That's weed, yes, because that's how it's present in the plant. It's in the flower in A form. Even if it identifies as a CBD product, all of it is, yes. Again, when products are not regulated, it doesn't really matter what's on the label. You put anything on there if you're not regulated, or if you're very poorly regulated. Hey, Rosie, I see you. Adam, yes, you are definitely conflating that with another state. Hey, Southwest Virginia, Jess. There is one of the Rise dispensaries has the delivery menu, because that's where their deliveries go from. I just can't remember which one it is. Hey, James. James says, I don't know what product you got. Did you get flour? James says, well, 3 years ago when I first got my medical card, I would say like 22% THC and hardly any THCA on the label packaging from the dispensary. At that time, I was using Rise. I'm just wondering what the difference is now. It just depends on the product that you're buying as to how it's labeled. But flour is not decarb, so it's going to be present as A. That doesn't mean they won't label the package with the total, and then you would just look at the analysis that has to be on there with all the percentages. It's going to give you the breakdown. But also I can ask them directly. No more research crap. I got some. Look, Queen Jane, I dissected this bill from North Carolina today that's like a medical cannabis program wrapped up in the guise of a research program, which, like, fine, whatever. If that's what it takes for you to get it done, North Carolina, call it whatever you want. Who cares? We'll have something about that soon. Yes, John, elections have consequences. Thank you. Hey, Ramona. Let me look about Kansas. I'm looking at the Kansas right now. We got two bills going up. We are tracking two bills at our action center for Kansas. First is Kansas Senate Bill 294, which is a medical cannabis bill. Home cultivation, commercial cultivation, distribution, sales. So a whole medical cannabis program, and then HB 2405, which appears to be the House cognate of the Senate version. Oh, that is adult use. It is not the Senate cognate, the House cognate. It is an adult use version. So yes, that bill is HB 2405. It says it was introduced on March 10th, and then it says it's in committee. The last action on the bill was that it was referred to the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, and it appears to just be hanging out there. Let me get you the action alert for that. All right, I'm dropping that link in the chat for you right now, Ramona. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Zach. My week was fine, thanks. Hey, Ryan. Happy Friday. Hey, Keenan. Keenan asked if there's anything new in Indiana. Let's look at Indiana. Let's find Indiana on the map. Indiana has the only thing we've got going on in Indiana right now is HB 1119. We talked about this last week, I think, and it is a DUID bill. We are monitoring it because it seems like there are, if I'm recalling correctly, it seemed like there were some good parts to it and then some weird parts to it. Yeah. It's kind of like authorizing oral fluid testing. It's not kind of like, it is authorizing oral fluid testing. And then trying to establish a per se DUID threshold based on fluid testing, oral fluid testing. It looks to be better than current DUID law, but also not good policy. Hi, Brian. Sean, I see your comment and thank you. John says lawmakers will continue to be swayed by lobbyists rather than serving the public unless they see consequences. And yes. And then still, maybe they get 17,000 emails about something and they still do it anyway, because why? That's weird. Yeah, James. James says you were talking about corner shops. The main thing I hate seeing people get out of those stores is vapes, because you never know what is in them and the metals they use. Yeah. I mean, all of it. If you're going to light something on fire and inhale it, or heat it up and inhale it, maybe it's a good idea to know what's in there, or to at least know that it's not something that's going to hurt you. Hey, South Carolina Cannabis Coalition. North Carolina, I don't. So in North Carolina, there's still just the H413, which is Marijuana Legalization and Reinvestment Act. And I think that is also by Beck. Is that the lawmaker's name? I'm going to peek real quick and see. Ew, I don't like North Carolina, I don't like the way you do this. View available bill summaries. I mean, I guess it's nice that you've got a summary, but like, why can't I just see who it is? Oh no, this is by Lopez. Anyhow, it's an adult use measure in North Carolina. There's that. The bill I was reading is a draft. I don't think it's filed yet. It was a medical cannabis bill, and it was just weirdly drafted. Oh, hello, person in Indonesia. I see the question about, hey, Kevin, I see the question about Delaware. Yeah, Senator Mass is correct. Senator Mass is talking about decarboxylation and says also that doesn't mean that 100% of THCA will end up as Delta 9. That's correct. It's not. It's like 0.8. It's either 0.86 or 0.87%. I don't know what. I think it's 0.87. 0.877. Multiply it by 0.877. So, because there's going to be some degradation. South Carolina, I don't have the link handy for that. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Give me a second. If you want to read that bill. I'm just going to give you this. Oh, has it been filed? It has been filed. House Bill 984 is the medical cannabis bill. I'm just dropping a link to that bill itself because, and you can find the bill draft in there. We don't have an action alert up on it yet. We just got the bill. We will. Thank you, Samuel. Show that. It's not working for me. Let me show Samuel's comment. Thank you. Hey, Casey, sup? All right, oh no, the thing's covering my Instagram comments again. Delaware, that's right. So there's why do you all want me to spend so much time in my email today looking up these answers for you? There was a conversation I was having with an email with Lizzie about the slow roll in Delaware, but it doesn't want to. That's the best I can tell you is that yes, there's a slow roll, and there is an action alert for that, Kevin. But I didn't see. I don't think it's attached to a bill. I think it's just an action alert. I'm scrolling to see, is it posted? It's not, but I know that I had a whole conversation about this recently. Sorry, my email is not interested in finding something from the depths of my inbox. But my understanding is that yes, it's still being slow rolled. Anybody else want to throw in comments about Delaware? Please do. Yeah, Kevin, I'd love to see North Carolina get itself together, and Center Mass, Pennsylvania also. And Kevin says, really appreciate NORML helping everyone navigate the noise. Literally why we do this show just to help people understand how to engage and what's going on. Demir asks on Instagram, any chance Virginia will allow more than 4 plants per person anytime soon? My suspicion is no. I would guess it's no is pretty much like I think it's possible we could get to 6, but that is not. First, we have to get through November election in Virginia and see who the governor is, and that will dictate what's going to happen for the next 4 years. And if Virginia's elected governor, who will sign an adult use retail sales bill, as a person who does this all day long, my recommendation, knowing the Virginia legislature, would be to pass the retail sales bill and then to come back in 27 with a plant increase bill, not to try and do them at the same time. It's something that will just get stricken out of the bill because it won't be a priority. Kevin, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is that article. Hi, Melissa. Hey, John, I'm glad you said that. John says, Kentucky just legalized medical this year, but I can still get fired from work if I fail a drug test. Any way around this? Yeah, change your laws. That's the way around it, is change your laws. Do it while you have a good governor. Yeah, it's an easy language to write. We've done this in multiple states, but you have to legislate it. Connect with Kentucky NORML if you haven't done that yet. Demir, you're welcome, and I hope that answer was off-putting. It's just I want to be honest with you. I don't want to blow smoke. Okay, let me get down to the news. We talked about Maryland raising taxes, which is super gross. Shame on you. Next up, wait, wasn't there more Maryland? Why am I missing that from here? Or was that last week? Nope, that's this week, and I just didn't copy it over. Well, let's see if we can fix that. More things happen in Maryland besides raising taxes. There's also legislation. Great, it's not anywhere on here. Here's the story. We can just read the story together. Maryland lawmakers this week did pass a bill to shield low-level marijuana convictions from public view. Here is a link to the story for everyone except for you watching on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, you can find it on the front page of the NORML website. So this is SB 432. And last year, Governor Moore signed an executive order that pardoned over 175,000 Maryland residents who had marijuana misdemeanor convictions. But pardons, while they forgive the past crime, they don't shield the records from public view, and they don't expunge them. So shielding records from view, typically, you're going to see language like record sealing. And then there's expungement, which typically means to completely destroy the record altogether. Some states say expunction for expungement, but typically that means destroying the record altogether. Whereas sealing maintains the record, but makes it not disclosable for public view unless under very specific circumstances, typically. So because all of these records had simply been pardoned they were still available for public view. So this bill will seal those. Good job, Maryland, with that one. Bad job with the sales tax. Let's pick a good one. In Michigan, the Supreme Court rules. I got to do this in two pieces because YouTube is going to chunk it up. YouTube likes to cut the links in half. So I try to send them in two pieces. Okay. Michigan Supreme Court ruled that the smell of marijuana alone is not sufficient grounds for searching a vehicle. Other states have ruled similarly. Other states prohibit it by law. Courts in other states have also ruled similarly. The judges went on to say, quote, "The smell of marijuana standing alone no longer constitutes probable cause sufficient to support a search for contraband." So, some good stuff out of Michigan. Like, do I want to balance them with good, bad, good, bad? It doesn't matter. Here we go. Let's talk about North Carolina. North Dakota, not North Carolina. I was reading someone wrote North Carolina. North Dakota lawmakers in the Senate rejected a bill that was passed by the House to reduce penalties for marijuana possession. So North Dakota has kind of got like partial decrim, where for a certain amount you're not subject to arrest, but the fines can still go up to $1,000, and it does create a criminal record. This bill, which was approved by the North Dakota House by a vote of 76 to 17. What are you doing, Senate? Would have amended the penalties for up to a half ounce to just a civil fine of no more than $150. But the Senate said no. The Senate rejected it. The House said yes. The House overwhelmingly said yes. And the Senate said no. What you doing there, kids? One last state thing. One last state thing to tell you about. That's how we talk now. Oh, good grief. Now I have another one up there. I could have told you about that one too. Okay. Still one last state thing to tell you about. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, Nick, are you there? Are you there? Are you listening, Nick? We're going to talk about Pennsylvania. So this is, again, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania ruled that workers' comp plans have to cover CBD products. Now, previously, Pennsylvania courts had ruled that medical cannabis has to be covered by workers' comp, and then they similarly have done the same, ruled for most recently for CBD products. Yeah, in 2023, it was an appellate court in Pennsylvania that similarly ruled that out-of-pocket expenses related to the use of medical cannabis are also eligible for reimbursement under the state's worker compensation laws, and now they have determined that CBD products meet the definition of medicines and supplies under the state's Workplace Compensation Act. So, neat, Pennsylvania. And Okay, we did Maryland, we did Pennsylvania, we did Michigan. Oh, I have two science articles for you to tell you about. But first, this. But first, let's talk about Canada. Let's talk about our neighbors to the north and how smart they are. They have nationwide legalization, because that's a good idea. I mean, so does Mexico, just not us. Now, shockingly, I'm sure this will come as no surprise to you, researchers did an analysis of what happened in Canada with the legalization. And it turns out legalizing the adult use market in Canada led to, quote, immediate and, quote, sustained declines in illicit market cannabis sales. It's almost like legalization is acting as intended in Canada. I like what the study authors say. RCL means recreational cannabis law legalization. It's a typical abbreviation, RCL or MML. Recreational cannabis legalization, recreational cannabis laws. You see it very commonly in scientific studies. But they go on to say RCL implementation was followed by an immediate reduction and sustained declining trend in the illegal cannabis market, suggesting RCL is achieving one of the government's goals by, quote, keeping profits out of the hands of criminals, end quote. This decline additionally means fewer people are consuming products with unknown safety profiles, potential contaminants, big end quote. All of this is in the article that I dropped. So, yeah. The study authors concluded recreational cannabis legalization in Canada appears to be achieving one of its primary goals by displacing the illegal cannabis market. Cannabis was legalized nationwide in Canada in 2018, and public support is about 6 out of 10. So, right, Samuel? Let's join Canada. Insulin says, I'm sure U.S. whiskey makers will blame. I can't. I thought it was going one place, and then I realized where you were going, and I lost it. Insulin says, I'm sure U.S. whiskey makers will blame Canada's cannabis market for the decline in sales. Probably doesn't have anything to do with something else. Yeah, you're right. But we covered recently, you may recall, the decline in alcohol sales. This was prior to that little whiskey riff. But there was a decline in alcohol sales following legalization in Canada, which is not uncommon. And the biggest decrease seemed to be in beer. So those people are probably big mad about that. Little did they know. Oh, center mass, right? Center mass says, if only we convinced the feds that cannabis taxes are more profitable than a revolving door of mass incarceration. But with mass incarceration, you get people in jails and prisons, and then you can force into labor for like pennies on the dollar for private corporations. That's called slavery. Yeah. Let's do the two science pieces that I have for you this week. And these are ones where you would go, yes, shocking, I know. Okay, these are definitely your, yeah, I know, tell me more stories. But I'm going to tell you about it anyway, friends. This is very similar to something we covered recently, but there was yet another study in which the authors conclude that medical cannabis provides meaningful improvements in patients' health-related quality of life. Patients with chronic conditions experienced statistically significant improvements in pain, fatigue, sleep, and overall health. It's not just patients with chronic conditions in this study, but consistent with prior studies, patients reported sustained improvements following medical cannabis. This was done in Sydney, Australia, where, and specifically, it was about oil, cannabis oil, containing standardized ratios of THC and CBD in more than 2,000 patients over 1 year. Statistically significant and clinically meaningful improvements were observed in health-related quality of life, fatigue, pain, and sleep for people with chronic health conditions. Similar improvements were found in pain outcomes for patients with chronic pain, sleep disturbance for participants with insomnia, depression scores for patients with depression, anxiety scores in patients with anxiety. The findings from this study contribute to the emerging evidence base to inform decision-making both in clinical practice and at policy level. If only we enacted policies that were evidence-based. That'd be neat. And then here's the last one. Where is it? Oh, I'm glad I saved this one for last. Because I want to know what you think. Tell me what you think. This is a survey that was done. And I'm sure you will be shocked to know that adults frequently acknowledge using cannabis products to sleep. I know. Okay, it did post. It's giving me error messages. 16% of survey respondents acknowledged using cannabis to help them sleep. And then another 10% of respondents said they use CBD as a sleep aid. So there you go. I know you're shocked. Tell me, what do you think? Does cannabis help you sleep? While people are thinking about whether or not cannabis helps them sleep, I see your comment, Center Mass, and talking about Constellation brands, and I'm glad you bring that up because people love to, complain about freedom, complain about ending federal prohibition. I know people like to say federal legalization or whatever, but what it is, the mechanism is ending federal prohibition. And then they, well, big pharma is going to take it over or whatever. It's not. It's or they're mad about the other one that really kills me is big marijuana. They're mad about state licensed cannabis operators that are operating in multiple states. Let's just say that those companies aren't working hard to be profitable or whatever. Like they're bigger than other, smaller cannabis operators. They are not anything in comparison to Constellation. There are really huge companies out there. Really huge. Constellation is one of them. And they were like, cannabis? Oh, we're going to go practice in Canada because it's legal there. They're figuring it out. They're waiting. And then there's nothing wrong with it. Like, business is business. And, last I was aware, America and Canada were both capitalist nations. That's if people are thinking about what big is, that's what big is. Big is not some weed MSO. That ain't big, kids. And then yes, you said Senator Mass goes on to say alcohol industry already moving in on the canna market. Yeah, and troublingly so in states that do not have a good handle on their intoxicating hemp-derived products. you're seeing in states that have not yet figured out how to wrangle that, sort of hand it off to alcohol. Big alcohol is sweeping in and saying, you got these products all over your shelves. Give that to us. We're gonna let us be the exclusive regulator and retailer of these intoxicating THC beverages. Let's just call it that, because you have no idea where it comes from. You can slap the word hemp on it, but that doesn't make it hemp. So Wisconsin was one of the first on my radar where you're seeing that play out. And there are so many other states where you're seeing alcohol industry swoop in and say, oh, we want that. We want that piece of the pie. We want beverages. We want cannabis beverages to be ours. And totally outside of existing regulatory models for cannabis. Wild. Oh, Texas, Texas, you have a problem with elections, and you were voting for people who do not want to give you what you want. Texas. Lots of states are taking similar actions to what just went down in Texas. Maybe not on quite that scale, but it's not uncommon to see states move to sort of rein in these unregulated products. Texas really ought to focus on expanding its medical cannabis program. The boldest Laura says, cannabis doesn't help me sleep, but it makes my insomnia more pleasant. Christine says, indica hour. Zzz. Oh. Ramona calls it a nightcap. Oh, I'm glad I finally caught up to all the comments, because all of you are like, yes, it helps me sleep. You know what? John asks if cannabis is effective for lymphedema, and I don't know if we've covered lymphedema, but fortunately there's a website for that. Nothing found. We have not written about lymphedema. That's what I can tell you. Bernie says it helps me live. Cannabis, not lymphedema, I presume. Oh, okay. We did all the things, and I gotta go celebrate a small child's birthday. So let's talk about some events that are coming up, and I'll bid you a fond farewell until next week. In just over, in 15 days. How's my voice? In 15 days, Missouri NORML is hosting their 2025 spring conference. This is going to be April 26th from 1 to 6 Central Time. It streams live on Facebook. You can find it on Missouri NORML's Facebook. It's free. Do it. Then, speaking of free events, the National Cannabis Policy Summit is coming up in Washington, D.C. on April 28th. It's from 8:45 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. It is at the MLK Memorial Library. It's free. You should register in advance because space is limited. I dropped a link in the chat to that free registration. If you're on Instagram, you're going to go to the National Cannabis Festival website, which is nationalcannabisfestival.com. And then on the drop-down menu, you're going to click on Summit. It's going to be the last one, Summit. And you can register for free for the National Cannabis Policy Summit. A little bit later, coming up in June, I have 2 events to tell you about, and I have a free pass for you if you're into free stuff, you know. Oh, I should have made a little banner. Maybe I can do that right now. Okay. Got it. June 3rd in New York City. Cannabis Means Business is a huge expo that comes to the Javits Center every year, and they kick off their conference with a B2B rooftop bash. It's really lovely. It is at the Yotel, and it will be June 3rd from 5:30 to 7:30. You have to be registered. You have to at least have an exhibit hall pass in order to buy a ticket for the rooftop bash. Well, why do you want to go to the rooftop bash? I'm so glad you asked. Because the 2025 NORML Formal is at the rooftop bash. We really love that CMB hosts this event for us. They've been great supporters of NORML. They always have us out to exhibit at the expo, and I would love to see you all there, not only at the I just tried to use the banner. There it is. Not only at the formal, I know who I am right now, but at the expo itself. So let me drop all these links in for you right now. First up, June 3rd is the 2025 NORML Formal at the CMB B2B Rooftop Bash. You are going to want to get your free expo pass so that you can then buy a ticket to the rooftop bash. We'll have baskets at the NORML table that you can bid on to help raise money for the NORML Foundation. And then let me give you the full details for the expo itself. Cannabis Means Business, June 4th and 5th at the Javits Center in Midtown Manhattan. You are going to use code NORML25 for a free exhibit hall pass, or you can save 30% off of conference passes, which are still at their pre-show pricing. So get it. And come see me there. I'll be there. Will you? Let's see if I can turn. There we go. I did it. Ugh, good job, me. Where are the comments? Yes. Melissa will be there. Melissa will be there at the. Oh, yes, at the National Cannabis Policy Summit. I will be there. Morgan will be there. I think our intern, Anna Jewell, is coming with as well, so you can meet them. And Tamra from Virginia NORML and from Cruel Consequences will be there. And Melissa from Virginia NORML will be there as well. Coming up a little bit later this summer is the National Cannabis Festival. This is July 18th and 19th. It's a 2-day festival now. It's at RFK Stadium in Festival Lot 8. Tickets are on sale. If you think you want to go, buy them before they sell out. It's at nationalcannabisfestival.com. John, I don't know if Paul is going to come to the National Cannabis Policy Summit. I would like him to, but I don't know if he's committed to coming yet. I'll ask him. I'll ask him on Monday. And then, hey, at the end of the year, I know this is a ways off, but this is one of those things that takes some planning for. The 2025 NORML Key West Legal Seminar is December 4 through 6. We are at the Hyatt Centric this year, and you can register for that at norml.org/Key West. If you are an attorney who needs continuing legal education credits, our legal seminars are fully accredited in any state that requires CLEs for practicing attorneys. And if you are not an attorney or you just don't need the credits, we have a reduced rate for you. So come on out. You don't have to be an attorney to attend. It is an excellent time to connect with people from across the country who share your opposition to prohibition and would like to enjoy some time, weirdly in Florida, more importantly, Key West, celebrating sun, sand, and personal freedom. So come hang out with me and Paul and Keith in Key West. Yeah, Queen Jane, Cannabis World Congress and Business Exposition. You and I and Christine are the only two people that know that. 3 people. Yes, Queen Jane. Email me. I will answer your question. No, John, Paul will not be in New York for sure. He might be in DC. He will be in Florida. I will be in New York, and the chair of the NORML Board of Directors, Joe Bondi, will be there. All right, we did it, friends. We did all the things. Hey, if you missed any of these stories, you can get them all delivered to your inbox tomorrow morning. Just go to norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you click the weekend weed read box so you get these just right in your inbox Saturday morning. NORML sends, that's, I just discovered something spilled in the corner of my desk, and I don't use that corner of my desk, so that's slightly terrifying. Gross. NORML sends news twice a week. NORML News of the Week comes out on Thursdays. We have our stories for the week. It's going to have any blog hits for the week. It's going to have our media hits, top media hits for the week. It's going to have action alerts. It's full of good stuff. That's Thursday. Then sometimes things happen between Thursday and Saturday morning, and I'm going to tell you about it on Saturday morning in NORML's Weekend Weed Read, where we recap the top stories and tell you about anything new that happened. So make sure you are subscribed so you are in the know all week long. Please follow us on whatever platform you're watching me on right now. I think that this is Steve O'Suave. I see your name, and that's what I think it is. So Steve O'Suave asked, will Pennsylvania ever legalize? Yes. Yes, ever. Yes. When? You could do it this year, Pennsylvania. You could. Get yourself a bill and just go, kids. You can do it. Steve-O, check out NORML's Take Action Center, which is at norml.org/act, and you will see a number of alerts for Pennsylvania. Kevin, you're welcome. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Senator Mass, for joining us. Make sure I got everyone's comments down here. Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Queen Jane would suggest everyone go watch Weed Wars. Have a great night. Whatever you all do this weekend, I hope you have a great time. I always have a blast hanging out with you all here on Fridays and answering your burning questions. Please hit that like, follow, or subscribe button. Come back and hang out with me next week and talk about what's good. I'm J.M. Padini. I'm the development director here at NORML, and as always, I'll see you right back here next time. Bye-bye.